This update is brought to you by the Exigent Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Still pretty heavy traffic coming out of Timonium this late afternoon on the Harrisburg Expressway, heading south between Padonia Road and the ramps to the Beltway. Now, once you transition to the inner loop, not too bad of a drive through Towson over toward Perry Parkway. Just a brief slowdown there. Outer loop topside stop and go between Harford Road and Perry Parkway. On the BW Parkway heading southbound, still jammed from 175 to Route 32. And the accident on Route 50 heading eastbound just prior to Route 450. Looks like it's off to the right shoulder there, but still seeing delays coming in from 97. The Exigent Temporal Scanner Thermometer is doctor recommended and backed by more medical studies than any other thermometer. Get yours at Walgreens and other fine retailers today. I'm Tony Thornton on CBS Sports Radio 1300.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax. They know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Great moments in sports. Bill Buckner is a former Major League first baseman who played from 1969 through 1990 for the Dodgers, Cubs, Red Sox, Angels, and the Kansas City Royals. In his career, he's had 2,700 hits, won a batting title, and played in an All-Star game. Unfortunately, he's remembered for his time as a player for the Red Sox during Game 6 of the 1986 World Series against the Mets. A slow ground ball slipped by him, a critical error which led to the Mets winning the game 6-5.
Check out my new time machine.
Does it work?
Hit the button.
Hey, it's Napoleon.
Oui. Check out the future.
Hey, you have a nice house. Why don't I?
You didn't save any money, buddy.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and fix that.
Yeah.
Save something for the future. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Britney Spears. I've had the pleasure of singing all over this great nation, but today I'm lending my voice to the 15 million kids in America struggling with hunger. Every year, billions of pounds of excess food go to waste, while 1 in 5 children may be left without enough food for a meal. But it doesn't have to be this way. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks helps to get food to families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to learn how you can help. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Sports Radio 1300 is WJZ Baltimore, WJZ HD3 Catonsville, Baltimore, the flagship station for Towson Tigers football and Towson Tigers basketball.
CBS Sports Radio.
The opinions expressed in the following paid program do not necessarily represent those of WJZ AM 1300, CBS Radio, its employees and sponsors. This is Coons Ford Terp Talk with Bruce Posner. 60 minutes of Maryland athletics and your phone calls at 410-481-1300. Now, here's Bruce Posner and Terp Talk.
He'll fire the three before Hill got there, and he got it.
Again, Cowan with a play, with a find.
9 points for the preseason All-Big Ten selection.
Yeah, that's right. Last night, Anthony Cowan, 6 assists, 1 block, 3 steals, 3 rebounds. Wow, what a game, and 12 points.
And only 1 turnover, right?
And only 1 turnover. You combine that with Melo for 20 points and just the same kind of line, except he had 6 turnovers, but 2 assists and 3 rebounds, 7 for 10 from the field. It's about as good as Maryland could play. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening here to Coons Ford Terp Talk. We got Freddy from Boca in the house. Special guest tonight, Todd Carton, fresh from his trip to Detroit and also getting ready for maybe the game of his life tomorrow, the Maryland women against UConn. Freddie, what do you think?
Well, first, non-Rev Todd Carton. There's nobody that has more passion combined with more knowledge of non-revenue sports, particularly for Maryland, than the non-Rev TC.
No
Thank
doubt.
you, Freddie.
And on the phone right now is the Rev guy, the traveler, the video guy, Wayne Viener. Wayne, welcome in.
Hey, it's great to be here. It's great to be back in Maryland. And the other thing that Todd has is the best hats in all of Maryland.
Without question. And he's got it tonight. He's got the yellow and black one tonight.
It looks like something you wear at the Preakness.
That looks like something you wear to, like, Birdwatch or something, you know? There he goes. With a red feather in it. A red feather. We'll have to take a picture and post it tonight. Wayne, we'll start with...
of that hat is it looks like a Bear Bryant hat, but it's in Maryland colors.
Well, Wayne, we'll start with you and Todd, and let's discuss the comeback on Monday, the significance of the comeback, and the disappointment in the loss, and tell us about the whole venture at the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit. Wayne, we'll let you go first.
So the first thing is that is a gorgeous stadium. Maybe not the actual seating bowl, but everything else around that is absolutely first class. It's like an indoor Utah street. It's really nice. As far as the game, look, Maryland didn't really show up for a while. And the first half, we got pushed around a bit. DC's defensive front line, including Landry and some of those other guys, they're big guys. But look, Maryland's supposed to play in the Big Ten and be able to handle that. Just couldn't do it.
Freddie, give your theory on why Perry Hills played the entire game. You talked about it yesterday with me.
I just think it was a reward for him for all he's been through physically and emotionally through tough years with Edsel and new administration with Durkin, and I think that was his reward. He was terrible, though. He played very, very poorly and better quarterback play, just a little bit better quarterback play. Maryland would have won this game.
Todd, were you expecting to see Pegram after a while when we kind of were running the ball effectively?
Honestly, Bruce, in the second half, particularly after the fumble on the first Maryland play, I was almost expecting to see Bortenschlager.
Why?
Because they needed it. I felt like they needed to get the ball, air it out. They're down by 23 at that point, and you got to score a lot. And of course, Perry Hills then comes back and throws 2 long bombs. There were touchdowns scored on 3 of Maryland's first 5 offensive plays of the second half.
Wayne, after the game, I know you had a chance to talk to Ty Johnson, and overall with the Maryland hierarchy, how happy are they with Ty Johnson? Because he's been unbelievable this year.
Well, I think that they're thrilled, but the other guy that's missing there is Lolo Harrison. So if you have the Lolo Harrison to do a little more of the grinding, and the Ty Johnson for the electric big plays, you got a heck of a combination.
Well, we know Lolo's back for spring practice.
He's already said he'll be in Texas for the opening game, you know.
Ty Johnson reminds me of a guy actually that would play for West Virginia. When you think back over the last several years, the tailbacks that they have, I've never seen a Maryland runner with as many 40-yard-plus plays in one season. And maybe, I know it's over 10. I don't know, maybe career-wise, he's got to be right there for the number of big plays as Ty Johnson. Absolutely incredible.
And
I think the guy you're thinking about might be Noel Devine, who used to just trash Maryland with big plays back when Pat White was a quarterback.
And Steve Slayton.
West Virginia.
Right, Slayton, who was a Maryland, I think wanted or was from Maryland.
Yeah, Slayton was the one who
he got away.
Ralph took away his scholarship. All right, who'd he give it to? Who'd he give it to? Who?
Morgan Green.
Okay, who never developed into anything.
Right, it was
he
big
took away
out of Howard County.
the scholarship of a guy who was a first-class student, a student body president, and a great football player who was dying to come to Maryland, and he made Maryland pay. There's no question about it.
So going back to Detroit, the biggest point of the game was Maryland being parked between the 2 and the 10-yard line for about 25 real minutes. Took about 5 to 7 game minutes. After everything that went wrong in the first half and fumbling on the first offensive play of the third quarter, Maryland sits there with a chance to cut it to a 3-point game. They're 20 inches away. I was sitting there with Todd, and we just couldn't get the ball over the goal line. we kept going backwards. That's the biggest frustration.
This is when you have
really that we lost the game. It's that we had a chance to really make an impact and couldn't go 20 inches.
This is why you have what you have when you have two 6-6 teams playing in a bowl game. Neither team really wanted to win. They both were looking to give it away.
You know, it's
they
fun.
were. Maryland had more first downs than BC, which is hard to imagine. And if it wasn't for all the sacks on Perry Hills, 8 sacks ends up being a negative 41 rush yards.
Right.
I think Maryland would have outrushed BC.
What happened to these young studs that we had building on the line?
Well, part of it is that Damian Prince is playing tackle. He came out of high school as a tackle, but he's a guard in college. He has no business being a tackle.
So you're saying he's out of position?
He's absolutely out of
Yeah,
position.
but Michael Dunn didn't play. He was our main guy, and and in the long run, that's probably why they lost.
Could be.
I mean, the pressure, it reminded me of a typical C.J. Brown game, getting pancaked every other play.
Yeah, Brendan Moore, who's a walk-on at center also, I mean, he just got blown up time after time, and it got into his head. His snaps were bad. He had low snaps.
Lots of low snaps, and Hills couldn't handle the ball. He's like Dick Store playing first base, like E3. He just kept fumbling and balls being knocked down all the time. The interception, he was brutal. He had 2 nice plays for the Bombs, but other than that, well, good experience and tough kid, a lot of heart. But so we need to get better quarterback for Maryland to improve in the Big Ten.
We need a quarterback. We need a real quarterback, and we haven't had one for so long, Freddie. It's unbelievable.
Scott McBrien's the last real quarterback we had.
You're probably right there, and it's just they need a quarterback. I mean, Etzel never had a quarterback, and now DJ's first year, which isn't fair. He hasn't had a quarterback.
And Ralph did Ralph, the great quarterback guru. What did he really do? I mean, McBrien was a transfer from West Virginia, and Hill was a transfer from a JC in Kansas. They were his best 2 quarterbacks. After that, nothing.
Yeah.
After that, the best was Chris Turner. And then Hollenbach, and that's it. Jordan Steffi didn't really pan out.
Right.
Was Harrison, the guy from Florida State we were all excited about?
Yeah, and Clinton Portis's nephew or little something came in too. Remember
Josh Portis?
Josh Portis came in as a quarterback.
Right. He wasn't good enough to play for us, but he made the NFL for a couple of years.
Well,
so strange.
That's the way it goes. But hey, look at the kid from Maryland last year, Sean Davis. What a play he made on Waller to strip him on that touchdown catch.
Right.
Nobody's giving him credit for that, but that was a great play. Waller had that ball, and he just stripped him out of it. It was a big turnaround in that game.
And the Steelers haven't lost since he went into the starting lineup.
Sean Davis?
Yeah.
Well.
Another Maryland defensive back makes the NFL active roster today, A.J. Hendy. That makes 4 Terps who left Maryland last year, graduated, all on the defensive side of the ball, all on NFL rosters as of today. Includes Ngakoue. There's one I can't remember. There's Sean Davis, no A.J. Hendy. So that defense was better than we gave him credit for.
Quentin Jefferson is the other guy.
There you go.
Speaking of Randy Etzel, are you guys shocked that he's back at UConn?
No, it's a long Maryland tradition. When the volleyball coach that preceded Steve Aird left,
that's right.
He came from Dayton and he went back to Dayton.
We forgot about the volleyball situation.
The Holy Scriptures.
Wait a minute. When the softball coach left the same year, she came from Bethune-Cookman and went back to Bethune-Cookman.
So it's a tradition.
It's a tradition that Maryland coaches leave under bad
circumstances.
Did you know about
the softball coach?
In the same year when a candidate wins the popular vote but loses the electoral vote.
That's right.
And it's always been this way.
It always happens in Maryland.
Tradition.
Todd,
yes, sir.
Todd, who did you go to the game with?
When? Which game?
The Detroit game, the Quick Lane Bowl. Who were you there with?
Well, I was there with the general, Dr. Gary Jackson, and a buddy that I met on Testudo Times who posts under the name Purple Nation 19. I won't go into that whole story.
But what about, didn't you end up there with the volleyball coach and some All-American volleyball player?
Well, yeah, they
Steve Aird.
They came to the tailgate. Steve Aird came in from Maryland to go to the game. His brother came in from Canada, from Toronto. And Matt Anderson, who is the captain of the U.S. men's national team, is a friend of Steve's, and he came all decked out in Maryland gear.
Hey, just one question on volleyball. I don't want you to go 1,000 words.
Okay.
We had a good year this year.
Decent year.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is there any way Maryland could ever be a semi-power in volleyball?
Absolutely. Starting next year.
Really?
Yes.
His recruiting class is that good?
He's going to have a top 10 recruiting class.
All right, awesome. All right. Well,
I have one more non-rev comment. I was at the basketball game last night. Somebody stops me, taps me on the shoulder, and says, "Hey, could you guys do a story on the women's golf team?" And I thought Todd Carton. So I've got a story referral for you.
Women's golf team.
All right.
I know they've got one girl who's great. I don't have her name. Rovenhaver's the coach, right? Rodenhavers, is that right?
No, they have I think she's a Russian woman now.
Russian
maybe I'm
woman?
confusing tennis. I don't know. I guess.
All right, let's get back to Jermaine. So we'll give Wayne and Freddy. We'll take a quick 30-second run at surmising the season for DJ Durkin, his first year making a bowl at 6-7. Freddy, we'll let you go first. Give me a 30-second summary.
Well, during Etzel's time, we had trouble beating bad teams. We're probably 50-50. We could never beat a good team. This year, every bad team we played, we beat. We're making improvements.
Wayne?
The recruiting is off the charts for 6 and 17. The class that he put together in very short notice after he came in last year, the class this year, which is ranked at number 11, is fantastic. The fact that I'm not sure if the team got any better all year troubles me, but if you can bring in top talent, you can win here.
Bruce's
We'll
point
go
at
with
me.
Todd.
I thought he did a great job, as Wayne pointed out. 4 guys off of his defensive roster in the NFL. Plus, we lost Will Likely, and there was another injury, as I recall, off of defense.
Denzel Conyers, the other safety, which left us really bare on the backside.
And I think to just come through even with 6 wins is a real reflection of the change in culture at Maryland.
Yeah, I've got to go with the fact that, this is no knock to Perry Hills because the kid played his guts out. He really did. But he also missed 3 or 4 games. And you had a rookie quarterback who wasn't really ready to play, and Bortenschlager, another freshman quarterback, and Caleb Rowe, he just did not have a quarterback and still wound up at 500. And, I know you guys say, well, it wasn't a big win. I thought the win against Michigan State was pretty good. That was, we talked about that last week. But all in all, the one thing I loved about the team this year, and especially showed in this game, is they doggedly fought the entire year, even when they were getting killed.
They showed heart, which is something. I mean, they spit out the bit many times with Etzel, but they didn't. They never quit, and they always played hard.
Never quit, even those games where they got really whitewashed by Ohio State and Michigan. Unlike, like most teams did, but they were fighting to the very end, and to me, that's a plus. And I love his attitude. I love just his positiveness and the fact that it seems like most of the kids really like playing for him a lot. And we'll see what happens. Next year, he's got a top 10 or top 15 recruiting class. Is it going to turn next year? Probably not. But in 2 years.
But we do have a decent quarterback, hopefully. Not just Kasim Hill. We got the transfer from North Carolina, Caleb Henderson, who's probably going to compete for time. And who knows about Piggy? He's got a year now in the system.
Yeah, we don't know about him.
I think Caleb Henderson's going to be the starter. But next year's schedule is absolutely brutal. It is harder than this year's schedule on paper, starting with Texas. One thing about the games, and we say that they're just exhibitions, these bowl games. Boy, was BC absolutely thrilled from being there and being up close to it. Those guys look like they won the national championship after that game, and that's nice to see actual enthusiasm. And had we come back and completed that comeback, Maryland would have felt the same way.
No, I certainly agree. Let's switch over to basketball. And last night, Wayne, you were sitting with me when we heard the news from Kevin Anderson and everyone else that 4 to 6 weeks for Checo. And it's funny, we both looked at each other and came up with that theory that maybe the first game without him and without Todd, everybody could rise to the occasion. And Freddy, they sure did. It was unbelievable, the intensity, the defensive intensity of that team last night was as good as I've seen, prolonged, really, for the first 35 minutes.
Pretty much a clinic last night. Excellent distribution of the basketball, good spacing, excellent passing in and out from the low post back outside. They used the spacing and their athleticism to drive to the basket for many layups. I mean, they kept pounding the ball inside. It was incredible. It's hard to imagine a team with, at one time, 3 6-foot guards, in a sense, pounding the ball inside, but they were. They kept going inside and making baskets.
Well, how about the couple of plays in the first half that Jalen Brantley went inside among 3 Illinois players?
Unbelievable.
Got rebounds and put it back in, and he's 5'11". If he's nowhere near 6 feet.
At best, yeah.
The coach for Illinois post game was talking about the fact that Maryland's got 2 point guards. I understand that Seth Greenberg said the same thing post game on TV last night. That 2 point guard theory, and when you got 2 good point guards, he thinks that's going to be the new barometer of college basketball. Kind of started with UConn 2 years back when they kind of won with 4 guards.
You can take that one step further. Herder was a point guard in high school. And you can see he's got great ball handling skills and great court sense. And Justin Jackson seems to enjoy making a pass rather than a basket. I mean, he's got great court sense. And again, he puts the ball on the floor well and passes exceptionally well, as does the big men, Bender and Cheka. This is why this team shot 56% last night. Just they kept moving the ball, made the extra pass, and they made easy baskets.
Yeah, and you're right. They've learned it's all about winning. I think that Melo understands that now. And Melo, I think I read today, had his 9th game scoring 20 points, and last year, all season, he only had 8, all right, which is pretty surprising.
Is yeah. Well, when you have hamstring issues, it's hard to score.
I think it's funny that if you have 2 point guards, you can win the national championship, but if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. It's just a different game. But having 2 guys who can handle the ball is a big deal.
Without question. And last night was just nothing but fun. I mean, they went gate to wire, never in doubt, never even close. I don't think once they got it over 10, it never came back. I think once they got it over 20.
The crowd was the crowd was bored to death. It was like a nice sized crowd, but they just didn't make any noise because the game was never in doubt.
Yeah, I called the game.
Bruce,
yeah.
Talk about the connection that looked like a connection between Cowan and Gill, because Gill finally showed up last night.
Gill had a great game, and somehow or another, I think he had 6 points, and all 3 of them were on great passes from Cowan. One of them, Gill made a very acrobatic play. I think he took the shot, and he was like on somebody's back.
It was incredible. It was an one. It was a tremendous 3-point play.
Yeah, and he missed all his free throws, I think.
Yeah, well, it's funny. To win a game and score 84 points when you shoot only 33% from the 3-point line, it's very unusual, and plus 11 for 18 from the foul line.
Right.
But what a great start. Naturally, Michigan State looked like they were out of it. They were losing against Minnesota, and sure enough, they just come on at the end and win in overtime. I thought that whole arena was so deflated. Northwestern beat Penn State, no surprise there. And it's off to a typical Big Ten. But you know what? Being there last night, watching it on TV, I'm sure, there's nothing like conference games, Wayne. There really isn't. These other games they play are just, how do you describe them, Freddie? They're like ridiculous.
Well, some of them, you're playing so many schools, like the Little Sisters of the Poor, where they're just hard to get better when you play teams that don't have the skill set that your team has, the size, the athleticism. Play better teams. Maybe you might, like you said, the women's. We were talking before about the women should play harder pre-conference schedule. You may get knocked off here and there, but if toughens you up for the conference, toughens you up for the tournament.
As it sits now, as we got to go to break, holy cow, Freddie, can you believe this? Wasn't Debbie Reynolds Carrie Fisher's mother?
Yes, Carrie.
She is. Mm-hmm. Did she? I know she was in the hospital.
She just got hospitalized. That's unbelievable.
Well, not really. Her daughter just died.
Jeez,
and she's been sick for a while.
Has she been sick? How old is she?
I would think in her 80s, wouldn't you think? Gotta be mid-80s.
Because Fisher was 60. Carrie was 60.
Right, so she got to be. That was with obviously Eddie Fisher's father.
Right. A brother named Todd and 2 stepsisters, I believe.
And she supposedly was very close with Elizabeth Taylor, who was Fisher's next wife. If I'm not mistaken. If I got it straight.
Like months later, I think he left his Debbie Reynolds for Elizabeth Taylor.
Very sad, very sad. All right, with that, we'll head out to our first break. Before we do, the third Bagby's has just opened in the new Foundry Row in Owings Mills on Reisterstown Road. Signature super Bagby's pizza, salads, sandwiches, pastas, and yes, even submarines. Did I forget meatball subs? Bagby's
You
Foundry
got to have the
Row.
meatballs.
Spicy meatballs. That's so good at Bagby's.
Bagby's Foundry Row is similar to the original Bagby's in Harbor East. Also featured next door is the Bagby Group-operated Foundry Row Wine and Spirits. 2 more winners for the Bagby's chain. Call 410-356-7226. This is Bruce Posner. Wayne, thanks a lot for checking in. Along with Freddy from Boca and Todd Carton, Mr. Non-Rev. We'll be back in a few minutes here on CBS Sports Radio, 1300.
He's the Reverend Non-Rev.
Reverend.
This traffic update is brought to you by the Exigent Temporal Scanner Thermometer. 895 heading toward the city, still pretty slow now from Lombard Street as you head past O'Donnell Street this evening. If you're traveling on the BW Parkway heading southbound, it's going to be sluggish, but just stop and go travel from the airport connector down to Route 100, and then it continues to be slow all the way into Laurel from 175. Now traveling on 95 southbound coming down from the Beltway, you're jammed as you make your way to 175, and the accident on 50 heading eastbound just after Ritchie Highway still causing issues from just before 97. When buying a thermometer, trust over 50 published studies supporting the accuracy of the Exigent Temporal Scanner Thermometer. Pick one up at your local Club Warehouse or other fine retailers today. I'm Tony Thornton on CBS Sports Radio, 1300.
I'm Brandon Tierney with the Jim Rome Report. While 2016 will go down as one of the more volatile years in recent memory, pertaining solely to sport, it was pure platinum. From Peyton Manning's brilliant career ending with a championship at Super Bowl 50, to Villanova's epic championship in one of the most amazing NCAA title games ever, to LeBron James and the Cavs delivering Cleveland's first title in over half a century, to the Cubs finally eradicating a century-plus curse on the north side of Chicago. Now, in addition to historic championships, Colin Kaepernick's anthem stance forced us all to engage in meaningful and raw conversation. While Kevin Durant bounced from OKC in one of the most stunning free agent defections of all time, there were football revivals in both Oakland and Dallas, and one of the game's icons benched for 25% of the season due to underinflated balls. We also lost a few all-timers in Muhammad Ali, Arnie Palmer, Gordie Howe, and Pat Summitt. 2016, one for the ages for a multitude of reasons.
And now, Geico Saving Stories. Nikki Peasley was happily married to Scott. However, something between them changed after Scott spent 15 minutes on Geico.com.
Constant gifts, chocolates, flowers, like he discovered a cash tree.
Cash tree, indeed. Unbeknownst to Nikki, Scott had saved hundreds of dollars on their car insurance by switching to Geico.
His gifts never stop.
Geico. Spend 15 minutes and 15% or more in savings could be gifted to you.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
There's no better place in Baltimore to buy your new or used car from than Coons Ford on Security Boulevard, across from Security Mall. Over the years, I have purchased many cars and trucks for GM Dennis Colatzos, receiving the best price, service, and comfort in dealing with a top-notch executive. Coons Ford TerpTalk listeners can view their inventory at CoonsFordBaltimore.com. Coons Ford carries a huge inventory of Motor Trend's Car of the Year, the Fusion, Hybrid Escapes, the 35-mile-per-gallon Focus, Mustangs, Expeditions, and of course the F-Series trucks. Coons Ford simply likes to make a little bit of money many times. What a great place to buy your new Ford. That's Coons Ford of Baltimore, 6970 Security Boulevard, across from Security Square Mall. Take exit 17 off of 695. Remember, when you're talking cars, you're talking Coons.
Call 410-298-3800.
Kelly Exchange is your one-stop shop for individual and family health insurance coverage. On KellyExchange.com, you can learn about healthcare reform, Find out if you qualify for a subsidy, get quotes, compare insurance plans, and purchase coverage. With over 36 years of experience in the insurance industry, KellyExchange.com is the only website you need to help you navigate the complexities and confusion of healthcare reform and purchase quality insurance for you and your family. Visit KellyExchange.com today.
No one likes lawyers until they need one. But if you've dealt with an insurance company, you know that you're not in good hands, they're not good neighbors, and they're not on your side. I'm Mike Grossfeld. At Waldman Grossfeld Apple & Bear, we've been protecting the rights of people for over 40 years. If you've been seriously injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or have suffered at the hands of a negligent doctor, call me, Mike Grossfeld, at 888-8-LEGAL-6. That's 888-8-LEGAL-6. We'll fight for you.
Glen Burnie Transmission celebrates its 55th year in serving the Baltimore, Maryland area with stellar transmission work. My good friend Mark Schwartzman provides factory transmissions remanufactured for sometimes hundreds less than the dealer. Call or email Glen Burnie Transmissions for a free and accurate price quote at gbt-online.com. 1 year same as cash financing available. Free area towing. Glen Burnie Transmissions can also supply low-mileage used transmissions with a warranty to fit your budget. Don't forget, we work on all imported autos as well. Call 410-766-8500 when you need transmission work. That's 410-766-8500. That's Glen Burnie Transmissions, 7166 Glen Burnie Highway. Isn't it time for your family to have the services of a financial planner? Call Rob Weissman, a certified financial planner. Rob has provided financial planning, investments, and insurance products to the Baltimore community for over 27 years. Rob will provide a free consultation, review your financial positions, and make recommendations. He will monitor your financial plan on an ongoing basis. Call Rob Weissman, 410-653-6260. Rob Weissman is a registered representative of Salmon Securities Company, member FINRA SIPC. Baltimore, listen up. If you want crabs, you have to head to the Costas Inn on North Point Boulevard. There is no comparison in all of Maryland for the greatest crabs and crab cakes ever. Costas also serves unbelievable steamed shrimp, Greek salads, and steaks for lunch and dinner. Nick, Pete, and Costas Triantopoulos run the perfect restaurant to go with family and friends. Give Costas Inn a call at 410-477-1975 and tell them the TerpTalk guy sent you. Bruce Posner here with a message brought to you by Chesapeake Urology. Guys, if you broke your right arm, would you just say, heck, I'll live with it, and make do with the left? Of course not. So why is it so many men with erectile dysfunction throw up their hands, assume it's just a part of getting older, and choose to live with it? The experts at Chesapeake Urology have treatments that can help virtually all men resume a normal sex life. Whether you're 48, 64, or 84, their doctors specialize in ED, and most treatments aren't covered by insurance. Even if you've tried pills without success, the specialists at Chesapeake Urology can show you better treatments. Don't live with something you don't have to. Call Chesapeake Urology at 877-422-8237. That's 877-422-8237.
Welcome back to Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
Roethlisberger looks, crosser, Brown, he caught it, fights to the goal line, breaks the plane, touchdown Pittsburgh! That might win them the division!
Great drive. Well executed.
If he doesn't reach with the ball, the clock may run out.
Pittsburgh scores and Raven fans mourn. What a very good game. Just got beat. Defense just spit it out a little too much in the last quarter. Joe played really well. Just got beat by a better team with some better players.
All right, on the Ravens' point of view, it should have been crashes the plane.
Well, on the phone right now, my good buddy Dennis Kalatis from Coons Ford. Dennis, can we put this game on Dean Pease for 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, not making adjustments?
Well, he's certainly
culpable. They just needed one stop, one play, and the defense. 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, completely unacceptable. But it was a total team loss. You can put it on the offense, the defense, special teams, the front office for having no alpha dogs on the team like a Ray Lewis or Ed Reed or Bernard Pollard and Quan Bolden. The list goes on and on. When you have a bunch of betas on there, these are the type of outcomes we've come to expect. What
do you think is going to be the outcome of the looking at the season after it's done? And it's unbelievable this kind of emphasis they're putting on this last game, which I can't really figure out why, but I guess they want a winning season. But how's Mr. Bisciotti? We know he's not going to stand pat. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree. As far as the last game is concerned, I don't see any wisdom in playing Joe Flacco at quarterback. Here's a guy coming back from a major knee injury. If he gets hurt against the Bengals, it will be a catastrophe of epic proportions. Why even play the guy? Put Ryan Mallett in there, your second stringers, and see what you have for next year. Now, going back to Bisciotti, I think the biggest thing is I'm sure he has noticed the empty seats at M&T Bank Stadium the last couple of years, particularly this season when Oakland's come in with their fan base, the Eagles, the Redskins. I think that's a telling sign. So I think the fan base needs to be re-energized, the season ticket holders, and that's going to be, I think, the first thing on the table as they look back on this last season.
Can we assume that Coach Harbaugh is safe? I think when we found out he's got more than 1 year left, I think that was a safety net for him. Do you agree?
No, I disagree because I think that was something that was floated out there by a source. Who that source may be, we don't know, but that doesn't mean anything. Here's an owner who fired Ryan Billick with 3 years and $15 million left on his contract. I think once they sit down after the season and they put everything on the table, they'll have a better sense of which direction they'll go. Steve Bisciotti is well within his right to demand, just like back in 2014, that John Harbaugh hires a real offensive coordinator versus one of his retread buddies. He may demand that Juan Castillo is dismissed. John Harbaugh may not be in the mood to sit still for that. So I think it's not done yet. It's not over and done with. I think let the season play out. I think you'll see more out of the castle as the weeks go by.
Dennis, answer one question for me. I, for the life of me, can't understand why, when you have a quarterback like Joe Flacco with a tremendously strong arm, that the team doesn't play a more vertical game, and yet they seem intent on playing a West Coast offense and the stink and dunk. And that, most guys who excel in that, the dink and dunk, the West Coast, throw for a high percentage. And Joe's not a high percentage type of guy. If I'm Bisciotti, if I'm Harbaugh, I'm saying, the heck with this West Coast. I'm bringing an offensive coordinator who understands and wants to throw the ball vertical down the field because I have a guy who has a tremendous arm.
You guys remember Jim Plunkett with the old Oakland Raiders. Jim Plunkett, the only thing he did was win 2 Super Bowls. He was a mad bomber. He would throw the ball downfield. Now, why is it that you, I, and Bruce, and the entire Ravens fan base understand this, but the people that want to win and drive don't? At what point do they bring in an offensive coordinator, to your point, that takes advantage of Joe's strengths? He did his best off of play action. In order to have an effective play action game, you have to run the ball effectively. You bring the secondary closer to the line of scrimmage, then you play action and hit him deep. That is Joe Flacco's game. He's not a dink and dunk West Coast quarterback. He'll never be a fantasy football quarterback, but he can be a Super Bowl winning quarterback under the right system. We know this, but they don't know this.
But after they lost Torrey Smith, I don't follow the Ravens as closely as you guys, but who would they have as a deep threat? This year?
Pyramid was supposed to be, and Mike Wallace has had a pretty good year, but
as a deep threat.
Well, that would be Pyramid, but he never goes deep.
Well, they never call it. Their play calling is just
right.
It's perplexing. By the way, Dennis, the Mad Bomber actually was Darryl LaMonica, but that's
there
okay.
You go. But he was the Mad Bomber 2.0. In fact, he has a distinction of being the only quarterback to win 2 Super Bowls and not be in the Hall of Fame. A little trivia there for you guys.
Heisman Trophy winner. He threw a very, very tight spot, very pretty pass.
Eli Manning will be the second, correct?
Yeah, and then Roethlisberger will be the third, unless he wins the third.
I don't know. I think Roethlisberger, he's getting closer and closer to being a Hall of Fame quarterback. I really think so.
Rings. He has 2 rings. To me, if you have 2 rings as a starting quarterback, you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But let me ask you guys, where was the deep balls against Pittsburgh? I don't recall any deep balls thrown in that game. None. 0. Zilch.
Nothing.
No opportunity for pass interference. They sure as heck got a nice one, didn't they?
Yeah, they sure did, and it was a ball that probably wouldn't have been caught to a rookie receiver. And, you look at Pittsburgh, Antonio Brown's Antonio Brown, but then you look at the other receivers, and you don't have a plethora of great guys there. I mean, Jesse James, a rookie.
Yeah, 5 different guys caught passes on that last drive, which is amazing.
Right. Here's the other thing. If you're playing, if Bill Belichick was coaching, he would have never let Antonio Brown beat him. You let somebody else, Eli Rogers, that other kid, beat you, but you don't let Antonio Brown go Space Jam on you the last 10 minutes of the game.
Without question. But what a great play by Antonio Brown to win the game. But, Dennis, let's talk about Coons Ford. I was there to make an appointment today in the shop, and I have to tell you, it was like a weave to get there with all the cars. Has to be a record for inventory.
We have records everywhere. This was another record year, thanks to you, all of our friends out there. We have over 1,000 brand new vehicles, over 200 pre-owned vehicles, body shop service parts. The whole place is going bananas, Bruce. We have people flying in New England. I don't know if you saw the Facebook post, but we have people flying in from all over the country to take advantage of the numerous savings that we can provide to them.
Yeah, for sure. And Dennis, tell everybody where they can find you. Of course, you're on the air tomorrow on the Sunday Sports Voice on another channel.
Yep, on the air. The cell phone is the best place. It's always on me, 410-218-0337. You can call me. You can text me. I won't respond to you, absolutely. On the web, just Google my name, Dennis Colazzos. I'm everywhere. LinkedIn, Snapchat, you name it, everywhere. Twitter, love to tweet. And our website, of course, www.coonsbaltimoreford.com.
All right, Dennis, thanks for checking in, and we'll talk tomorrow, my friend.
Thank you, Dennis. Go Ravens.
Happy New Year.
All right, this is Bruce Posner. You are listening to Coons Ford Terp Talk. Before we go to the break, situated at One Olympic Place in Towson, Cunningham's Cafe and Bakery offers handcrafted breakfast, lunch, and coffee in a casual setting, featuring house-baked breads and pastries, roasted coffees, and locally sourced eggs and produce from Cunningham Farms. The Cafe and Bakery is a perfect spot for a quick meal or snack. Parking is free across the street. They're open 7 days a week. Call Cunningham's Bakery and Cafe, 410-339-7750. This is Bruce Posner. We'll be back with Dave Preston and Todd Carton previewing what some may say is the game of the year for the University of Maryland, and that will tell you what it is tomorrow night here on CBS Sports Radio, 1300. I just discovered a great little neighborhood gourmet pizza and Italian-type restaurant in the Harbor area. Bagby Pizza on 1006 Fleet Street is just a great, fun place to have lunch or dinner 7 days a week. Bagby's features gourmet pizza, pastas, and salads at more than reasonable prices. Service is quick, there's plenty of seating, happy hour specials Monday through Friday, 4 to 7 p.m. But most important, the food is superb. Bagby Pizza, 410-605-0444. Cunningham's, part of the Bagby chain, the newest restaurant in town at One Olympic Place in Towson. Free valet parking, open every night. The food there is fantastic. I've been there. Decor, the whole atmosphere at Cunningham's is super. I highly, highly recommend it. But of course, when it's part of the Bagby chain and the Smith family, you know it's going to be a success. 410-339-7730. That's Cunningham's at One Olympic Place in Towson. It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market Gourmet again to the Terp Talk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet Again on 3717 Old Court Road continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore knows that Gourmet Again is the best market around. Let Gourmet Again cater any party or special occasion that you are having. I absolutely love Gourmet Again. Call 410-484-9393. Gourmet Again is open 7 days a week. Visit them on the web at gourmetagain.com. The phone number, once again, 410-484-9393. That's Gourmet Again. The Bagby's chain has opened up the new Bagby's Pizza in Woodhome Festival. It's pizzas and salads the way you want it. Get the Big Cheesy for $5.99 or make your own for a little more. 4 sauces, many toppings. Super salads, meatball specials. What a great, affordable pizzeria. Call the new Bagby's Pizza at 443-379-0566. That's the new Bagby's Pizza at 443-379-0566. At Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, the professionals provide the highest quality care to the patients. My friends over at Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center are fellowship-trained, board-certified neurosurgeons and interventional pain specialists that specialize in treating all spinal and intracranial disorders with more than 20 years of combined experience. The practice is founded by Dr. Ira Goranczyk and his partner Jim Conway. These 2 doctors are perennial Baltimore's top doctors. Not only do they perform complex inpatient procedures, but they also specialize in minimally invasive outpatient surgeries. If you're having problems with your neck or back, call my good friends Dr. Ira Goranczyk and Dr. James Conway at Baltimore Neurosurgery and Spine Center, 410-664-3680. Once again, that's Baltimore's best neurosurgeons at 410-664-3680. Superior Tours continues to serve the Baltimore area with superior price trips to New York, Atlantic City, or wherever your group wants to go. The Comans brothers have only state-of-the-art motor coaches for your riding pleasure. Superior provides same-day service to New York for only $68 round trip or $48 for one-way trips. Atlantic City trips are $38 same-day round trips with great hotel rebates. Call 410-602-1704 and make a reservation with Superior Tours.
CBS Radio Baltimore and La Cuchara Restaurant present Whiskey Rocks Baltimore tasting event January 12th, 6 to 9 p.m. Portion of the proceeds benefit Pathfinders for Autism. 1057thefan.com for more.
This is Coons Ford Terp Talk. Call 410-481-1300 now. Once again, here's Bruce Posner.
Cunningham's of the Bagby's chain has been declared one of the best restaurants in town. Located at One Olympic Place in Towson, Cunningham's has free valet parking and is open every night. The decor and atmosphere at Cunningham's make you feel that you are part of a happening event. Using a wood-fired grill and oven, Cunningham's provides its guests with dishes created from the freshest, seasonal, and local ingredients possible. Call 410-339-7730 for reservations. For a reservation. Love Cunningham's. Absolutely love it. On the phone right now is the voice of WTOT Sports in Washington. And that, of course, is Dave Preston, also the voice of Maryland women's basketball. Dave, how are you tonight?
I'm doing very well, Bruce. In fact, I'm chasing a story. There's a rumor that you are bringing fried oysters from Cunningham's to Xfinity Center tomorrow for the Maryland UConn game.
Well, if I do, you will participate in the eating of them, I promise you.
Okay, it's a victory for everybody then.
All right, I've got an expert with me here tonight to talk to the expert. Do you know Todd Carton?
Yeah, I believe our paths have crossed here and there, sir.
Todd is a guy who follows the women's game exclusively, went to Duquesne last week for that game,
yes,
correct?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Todd, let you and Dave get rolling here and do some comparisons for us on Dave, between UConn and Maryland, how the matchups look, and whether or not, in your deepest of hearts, do you think Maryland has a really good chance of winning?
Well, it's one of those things, Bruce, that I think that this might be the one year where they really have a chance to beat the Huskies. Huskies are 4-time defending national champs. They've, they're number one in the nation, but this is a team without any senior starters. And even though they have had a difficult schedule, they beat then number 2 in the nation, Notre Dame, earlier this season.
Also,
Maryland
Baylor
has a senior-laden roster that can get things done this year.
Yeah, well, UConn, according to Sagarin, has played the toughest schedule in the country so far. They've beaten not only Notre Dame, but they beat Baylor. They beat Ohio State, who, of course, is the only team since Maryland joined the Big Ten to beat Maryland. They beat Florida State in the first game of the year. They've played 5 games of their 11 have been against the top 15 teams in the country.
And, of course, Maryland's beat Louisville, and that's about it.
That's about it.
Hey, they beat St. Peter's.
Dave,
Come on,
Dave, let
man.
me ask you
They
a
beat
question.
St. Peter's.
Dave, let me ask you a question.
No love for St. Peter's.
Dave, does it worry you a little bit that they haven't had that kind of competition like UConn has as far as this game goes?
They have beaten, I think, Arizona State and Washington State, so, 2 teams from the Pac-12. They don't have that name victory over a name conference team like, somebody from the Big 12 or somebody from the SEC. It's making a non-conference schedule is a very difficult task, especially when you're an elite program like Maryland, because none of these second-tier programs from other leagues want to go play you because when you're beating them by 20, 30 points, that does a little help to help them. And word is there may be an entire 15-school league that isn't psyched about playing Maryland, and thus you might not be having home and homes with schools from Winston-Salem or Atlanta or Tallahassee, to name a couple destinations. It's a challenge to put together a schedule in women's hoops, and I'm sure Maryland wishes that they had a couple more marquee matchups on their schedule, but you play who you can play, and going into Big Ten, it hasn't hurt in the last 2 winners.
Couldn't Maryland set up those home and homes against
Yeah,
Baylor?
but you got you got an ACC boycott.
Well,
all right, it's a boycott. I don't care what you say. It's a boycott.
Other teams have managed to schedule some ACC teams. Maybe women's basketball can. I don't know. But, I mean, you could schedule South Carolina. You could schedule Stanford. You could schedule Tennessee. You can schedule Baylor. You can go out and put 2 or 3 of these games on your schedule.
Right.
Don't you think that Maryland could go that way? I mean, that's UConn goes out and plays everybody. Don't you think Maryland could be doing some more of that?
The thing is, too, is UConn has to go out and play those schools because they're in an AAC where who else do you have in your league? Oh, gosh, really?
South Florida.
South Florida. So they're UConn is a national program. I don't see them as an AAC program, but they're a school that schedules nationally. They're much. Imagine Notre Dame football back in the 60s and 70s that played basically a national schedule against elite schools. That's kind of what UConn is doing right now. What's going to be interesting tomorrow is to see will the somewhat soft, as the critics may say, schedule, will that hurt Maryland? I don't think it will, because behind senior Shatori Walker-Kimbrough and Brianna Jones, this is a talented squad. I think the main question is, how will their 4 players on the perimeter, they're playing 4 out and 1 in this year, how will that 4-guard lineup fare against the UConn team that has 3 kids up front who can just rebound the heck out of the basketball?
Well, actually, I'm not sure. I think you might be flipping the script a little bit there, Dave, because UConn doesn't rebound well. They only rebound 68% of their.
Of course, they don't miss. They don't miss shots. That's another problem. So you don't have rebound numbers.
They've got 2 kids who average 8 rebounds a game. They've got a third, a 5. They're led in rebounding by a 5'11" kid. And they're a team that, due to their size, can really present some problems matchup-wise to a Maryland team that, when you're playing the St. Peter's, forgive me for saying that, when you're playing the Loyolas of the world, you can afford to have Brianna Jones in the pivot all by herself, and 2 freshmen in your starting lineup, and 4 guards, and still win comfortably. How will that fare against the UConns, where you've got a tight 10-player rotation, a tight roster with a bunch of players averaging 30 minutes a game who are really tested, even though there are no seniors in the starting 5? I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
For Maryland to win the game, what has to transpire throughout the game in Maryland's play for the Terps to knock off a team that's won 86 straight?
They need another threat outside of Brianna Jones in the paint. And I don't know whether it's going to be something from dribble penetration, if Destiny Slocum can get rolling, if Shatori Walker-Kimbrough can get open on the perimeter and get into her rhythm. She's very, she hit over 50% of her three-point shots last year. She's well on her way to dominating, from there this year. If they can provide other threats outside of Brianna and she can get some one-on-one matchups inside, there's a chance. If they can get UConn into foul trouble, as I mentioned, a tight rotation, they don't necessarily play a lot of kids, and if they're able to get that lower half of the roster in the game when they have the bottom 2 or 3 players have only played maybe 5 to 10 minutes a game, maybe get them out for a key possession or two and expose them, you might have something. It's one of those checklists that, I don't fly, but I hear pilots have a 41-point checklist, and if one thing goes wrong, you're crashed on the runway. Maryland has about 10 things that they need to check off, and if they don't get a check mark, things are going to come up short. They played UConn very well in the past, but they've always managed to come up short.
How do you think Maryland handles the 6'3" presence of Katie Lou Samuelson, who averages 20 points a game and shoots also like Shatori Walker-Kimbrough from the outside, about 48% from 3? How does Maryland match up with her?
We might see them go more zone than we're used to. I'm used to seeing Maryland play a very frisky, very pesky man-to-man defense. I think you might see, Kyla Charles is just 6'1". Maybe they bring, Kaya Gillespie, in for more minutes. She's played well. She's probably their most athletic forward, and it's a shame that she's not gotten a lot of run this year. Maybe Blair Watson is given a run. I think what benefits Brenda Fries this year is that with the much deeper bench that she's had in years past, she has a lot more fouls to give, and maybe she views her rotation as something like, all right.
All right, we're running out of time here. I want to get predictions from everybody. I believe Maryland will win the game if they can score 75 points, and if Brianna Jones, to score 75, I believe Brianna's got to hit 30, and that's a big number. But it's going to take something special to beat UConn. It's going to take something out of the ordinary.
A freshman who steps up like Destiny Slocum for 25 points and 11 assists. You're going to have the special game by probably one of the freshmen from Maryland, because a lot of attention is going to be placed on Kimbrough Walker and Brianna Jones. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, I'm not going in with the same level of confidence. I think UConn wins. Their defense have been off the charts. However, I'm going to go with a dark horse and say that if Maryland gets really quality minutes out of Brianna Frazier off the bench, they can win.
And we'll leave the last to the expert. Dave, go ahead.
All valid points. I think Brianna Jones has a big game, win or lose, for the Terrapins tomorrow night, because she had a heck of a game last winter against a much better UConn team. I think the Huskies win this one 81-68. They pull away in the last 8 minutes. Just as from what we've seen in the rivalry so far, I think if Maryland is to win this game, Destiny Slocum has to have a fantastic night.
All right, so you agree with Freddie. Hey, listen, Dave, I'll see you there tomorrow night. I'm really looking forward to it, so we'll leave it there, and let's go Terps, right?
Hey, can you email me a Cunningham's menu just so I can send you it back with my choices?
You got it, pal. It'll be coming to you right away. All right.
Sweet.
Thanks, Dave.
Expect a hot dog from Bruce, because that's how Bruce orders.
All right, guys, wraps it up, and we didn't even get to the Maryland-Nebraska game on Sunday. Nebraska's 6-7, but it's a team. When you're Maryland, you can't take anybody for granted. They're not going to play like they did again,
and they're going to match up physically differently than Illinois did. They don't have those big bruisers inside. So
quick thing, Gino Auriemma of UConn. Since 1985, the head coach of the Huskies, his record is .975.
That's not bad.
And 134 with 11 national titles, 7-time Coach of the Year.
Without question. And we did forget to mention that Steve Smith announced his retirement today. And I can't believe I forgot to mention that to Dennis. And what a tremendous Raven he has been. One of the guttiest, toughest guys around, and he will be sorely missed. I was surprised. I thought he'd go another year, Freddie.
Nah, he's done. And happy, healthy New Year to everybody.
That's for sure. Please drive safely. We'll be back on the air Saturday with Coons Ford presents a Sports Maven, and then our final In the Nest of the year on Sunday. Science at Kirk presents In the Nest. We're out of here. Drive safely. Happy New Year.